Day 2025, which was yesterday, and it was a time to honor the bravery and sacrifices of our gallant soldiers who laid down their lives for the peace and unity of our nation. But beyond the ceremonial tribute, what lessons can we draw from their service, and how well are we supporting those who fought for us? Now, our second topic of discussion, we will delve into the Emir of Kano, Lamido Sanusi's critical remarks about Nigeria's economic direction. Now, the Emir has boldly attributed the country's economic challenges to decades of mismanagement and expressed his discontent with current government approach. What does this mean for Nigeria's economic trajectory? And how can we address the systemic issue he highlighted? Finally, we reflect on the first 100 days of the newly inaugurated local government chairmen and councillors. Have they lived up to their promises? Are they truly independent in driving grassroots development, or does the shadow of state interference linger? Now, to help us unpack these issues, we have a seasoned public affairs analyst and also the president and founder of Open Forum, who will be sharing insights and providing clarity on this pressing topic. So stay tuned, grab a cup of coffee, and let's dive deep into these critical discussions. You can also join the conversation by calling in later on the program or sharing your thoughts via our social media platforms. Good morning to you and welcome, Citizen Matthew Kofi O'Connor.
Thank you very much, Sharon. It's good to be here.
Welcome.
Yeah.
All right, because we have a lot to talk about, let's first of all start. I said it on today's papers that the first thing that we'll be talking about is, in fact, before you settle in, the first thing I'm going to ask you is about the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. And I'm really curious, and someone called in to ask the same question. I said I was going to direct the question to you. How well do you think that the government and even the citizens are fulfilling their responsibilities towards the families of fallen and disabled soldiers?
I want to join everyone. First, I want to greet our listeners and our viewers online, and then to say good morning. On the question of Armed Forces Remembrance Day, it has become a ritual, virtually a mere ritual that every year that has to be done. And once that is done, it's as if we fulfilled our obligations to the people that sacrificed their lives so that Nigeria will have peace. Unfortunately, it would seem as if the entire sacrifices made has come to nothing. Why? Because as we speak, we have what has been going on since early 20, in fact, since the advent of this dispensation of democratic practice, when insurgency started. And it was as if it was something that was just going to be a walkover, but it has, yeah, I'm good. It has persisted to the extent that almost on a weekly basis, we have reports of people, insurgents, particularly these religious fanatics, kill our security men, both in the battlefield and even taking the battle to their barracks. Very recently, about last week, it happened, and it's not something that would give encouragement to even those in the force. And then you also have the challenge of fifth columnists, people who are in the force, people who are in government service, giving information, being informants to insurgents that lay ambush to continue to kill our people. And for the celebration, I'm not happy how we've just turned it to a mere ceremony, mere ritual. But be that as it may, there will come a time we'll have a reformer who will be able to put a number of things in proper perspective. But for Akwa Ibom State, I want to commend His Excellency for the gesture that he made I think he gave 150 million naira.
250.
Yeah, I'm going to give the breakdown. Yeah, 150 to the wives of the legionnaires as a business grant, and then 100 million to the police and other. They don't like. There's something about the military. The attempt that they won't want to use for other paramilitary. So I have to be careful. I'm trying to choose my words. So 100 million for police and other paramilitary officers who have also lost their loved ones in the course of service, making a total of 250 million. I commend His Excellency. But going down to local government levels, you discover that it's only a mere ritual, because for instance, the legionnaires are supposed to have stipends monthly given to them by respective local government councils to run their affairs. Peanuts. In short, peanuts. But I can tell you that I don't know how many local government areas give those peanuts monthly to the Nigerian Legion. Even providing security for councils and other facilities that you're supposed to engage these persons, they are not done. Even where it is done, like a particular case that I've been hammering on, you find a council owing security men and casual workers up to 2 years, 6 months. But such money was being gotten from the council. They don't pay them. As little as 5,000 naira. Yes. So it's pathetic. And they will just do ceremony. In fact, I can boldly say that what they spent on ceremony for themselves, just to be there, is far more than what they may even give as support to legionnaires throughout their stay in office. So it's just like for some of them, it's just a subhead for public officers to make money. They don't have anything, no spirit, no love, nothing going on to see how they can make this really meaningful. But for His Excellency, I commend him, and I want to pray that with time, Akwa Ibom may develop a program that will intentionally be sustainable. I am not given to these grants because some of this money is once given, it finishes the same day. But if there's a sustainable arrangement where these persons can go to a specific bank to access interest-free loan that can be paid back within 2 years, those people will go and invest the money. They know that it's not their money. And others will be able to benefit. Even they themselves can reassess those loans and it becomes sustainable. It has been my advocacy. The cooperative stuff is something that we need to look at it someday in a very detailed manner with experts speaking. Do these wives and even the legionnaires, do they have cooperative? Do they have a specific program that government can help them to expand or empower? That should be the way forward after now. When we are advocates, we keep advocating. Otherwise, I hate rituals. Anything that is done just for the ceremonial sake. No. I'm not part of it. We must make a big difference because it's about people. It's not about number. Yeah.
All right, let's move to our next topic of discussion, which is the statements by the, Emir Sanusi, talking about how, when it comes to him helping this present administration, he has removed his hands and his legs. He will no longer be helping the President Tinubu's administration. And he has said that the president doesn't have credible people around him that can properly interpret his actions or his visions. Do you believe his concerns are valid? Before you go in, you also mentioned the past mismanagement that what we're facing right now is just consequences that came about because of past mismanagement of the country. Do you think that his concerns are valid?
I will say his concerns are more than valid. It's the reality that we've been denying as a people. But first, let's look at who Emir Sanusi is. Because whatever you do, if you don't know who is talking, you may never be able to understand where he's coming from. He's not perfect, but then he has something going for him. He has a brilliant mind, and he also has a courage. He also makes mistakes. Some of us, I don't want to go into the history of when he had issues, and was lucky to have escaped the Hamas, and then he metamorphosed to becoming the CBN governor. And during his tenure, we cannot say he did not do well. We cannot say that. He did well to the best of his ability, and because the position that he held was not and is not still a political position, it's supposed to be held by a neutral person who is supposed to deliver his job based on the law guarding the Central Bank of Nigeria. So he noticed that some monies were being moved out during the Jonathan's time, and he raised alarm. His alarm was partly false because the amount he said was being stolen, was not being remitted, far exceeded what it was. But then he was passionate about correcting an ill. Luckily for him, his people from the north sided him because it was felt that what he did has demarcated President Jonathan so that he would not be able to go for re-election. And Jonathan, some people call him, he was weak. Yeah, he displayed traits of actually being weak, because what was to happen was that the CBN governor will have been really checked and maybe picked up for questioning, and then in the course of it, people will be talking about, oh, release him, he's under detention, and you'll be managing that public perception of what is going on. What do we have? Emir Sanusi sneaked into Kano from his base, and the next moment he was to be made a king, the emir, which will bestow on him instant immunity by virtue of that very office. And he wasn't even the one to have been made the king, from what we know. The son of the late emir, who is even having issues with now, Ado Bayero, will have been the king, but the then governor of his state needed to give that protection, and that was done. And for those that may recall, Jonathan never congratulated him. Fast forward to even when he became the emir. What did he do? He spoke loudly against how northerners are wasting their children, creating the kind of situation where the northern children will not have a future because of the Ahmadiyya system. He was loud on the problem confronting the north. Nobody, to the best of my knowledge, has been so vocal. And what did he get? He was dethroned. You get me? Because of his being vocal, he criticized the governor. Criticized as in, what you are doing is not right. This is how you should do it. When he criticizes, he gives options on what should be done. Before you knew it, even under President Buhari, he was raising alarm that people were making billions of naira doing nothing but just trading on dollars, foreign currency. The kind of alarm, the kind of things that he has brought to the table, nobody has tried it except Ali Ndume, that has said recently that he won't be criticizing President Tinubu again. It's Ali Ndume who has come close when he said on an international TV station that the administration of President Bola Tinubu is made up of kleptocrats and kakistocrats. Kleptocrats is ruled by thieves. kakistocrats is they rule by fools. As a principal officer, principal member of the party, a senator who has been there almost from 1999. So, outside somebody like Aline Dume, who has come close just because of what he had to say, it's Emir Sanusi. He was lucky because of the political problem that has been going on in Kano, where the particular governor will depose somebody, he will have a successor, the successor will fight his predecessor, and then return the person that was deposed. That has happened to Emir Sanusi, and then as we speak, their case is still in court between Ado Bayero and himself. And the feeling is that the presidency, from what is being speculated, is maybe body language or by whatever reason, not against him, but in support of Ado Bayero. I don't want to say it's because of that has made him to say this. Yes, sometimes we don't know how to convey how we feel. As careful as I try to be as a human being, there are times I may do or say something that, I say I would have done it the other way. Yes. But why am I saying so? What he said, which I think I have some of those things there for the benefit of those that may not even know. Let me just read out his words as reported. He says, "To be honest, I can stand here today and I can give a few points that are contrary, a few points that explain perhaps what we are going through and how it was totally predictable, and most of it, and maybe avoidable. But I'm not going to do that. I've chosen not to speak about the economy and the reforms, or even to explain anything, because if I explain it, it will help this government. And I don't want to help the government. I don't want to help this government." He went further. And they are my friends. If they don't behave like friends, I don't behave like a friend. So I watch them being stewed, and they don't even have people with credibility. That's a key word that we're going to talk about. And they don't even have people with credibility who can come and explain what they are doing. But I'm not going to help. I started out helping, but I'm not going to help. I'm not going to discuss it. Let them come and explain to Nigerians why the policies that have been pursued have been pursued. And meanwhile, I'm watching a very nice movie with popcorn in my hands. I'm watching them stew. But I will say one thing. What we are going through today is, at least in part, not totally, at least in part, a necessary consequence of decades of irresponsible economic management. Those are the words of Emir Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi, the Emir of Kano. I think he was reinstated after being deposed in May 23, 2024, and then they are still struggling with the case. The fundamental things he has said, the bottom line is that he does not believe, he does not see the possibility of the reforms that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is carrying out. He does not see the possibility of those reforms helping the country. And if you want to fact check that, you just reflect a little on what even IMF said late last year, that they did not recommend the reforms that is going on. For IMF to distance itself from that reform shows that there's something fundamentally wrong. And what is the pointer to that is fundamentally wrong about the reforms going on, particularly in the oil sector, is that, for me, it is not even a reform. Because if you don't have a plan you are not ready to do anything. There was no plan. The only plan that there will have been, or that is available, is just a single document that His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu presented as an opposition leader to Jonathan in 2012, which he himself has refused to implement. And to show that the issue of credibility that's been raised by Sanusi is genuine, is that even his aides have refused to draw his attention that there is a roadmap, first class, no other better roadmap than the one you wrote and signed, I think on January 8th or 9th of 2012. When Jonathan removed fuel subsidy, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave a master plan and called it Jonathan tax. That it's like Jonathan was a pharaoh who does not give the Israelites straw to make bricks, but is asking them to go and get the straw and still make the bricks the same quantity. That it is wicked, is going to destroy the people. And truly, this implementation has, in actual sense, destroyed the people and given the government bad name. So, I agree with Emir Sanusi on what he actually said. And then to the fact that he has been giving ideas, he doesn't want to give again. The reality is that I have not seen any administration that took his counsel. Not even President Buhari. Was Sanusi speaking? Yes. His videos are there. I just hope my archive is safe. I save a number of this because I research. So I agree with him that he's been giving ideas, and his ideas can be very useful if adopted. After all, I do the same. I even do more. I do more because this is my job. This is my calling. It didn't start now. We run what we call the Public Policy Ideas Bank, while also speaking for the voiceless because of what we have experienced. So, are the ideas taken? No. Even when you force it on them, they will not take. Highest, it's like one of them did. He stole what was given to him. And I went after the person. That's a story for another day. So, on the issue of credibility, one will say, is that statement not too strong? What does it mean to be credible? We are talking about, having been trustworthy, being believable, but merely asking citizens if they have trust in their government. Sharon, even you, you won't be able to answer in the affirmative.
You don't know that, citizen.
No, I'm just giving a reference. I'm going to also drop it on the table because you have received calls. You have received guests here. And how many guests or how many callers will tell you they have trust in government? Government generally, not just at the center, have lost the trust of citizens. And it is important. They must gain that trust. And you cannot gain that trust through intimidation. Anybody, your word should be it. Anybody should be able to take a leader's word to the bank. So if a leader speaks, and then you go to sleep, you wake up, and you try to make use of the word, and you discover that that word has not become flesh. Like Christ did. Christ was, the situation was a word becoming flesh, and then dwelled among men. And today, no matter who you are, if you don't like to believe in Jesus or God, you just believe in something else because we did not create ourselves. So leadership is next to God himself because they are representatives of God. So when situation where you find leaders who are unable to keep their words, you discover that you are faced with the worst scam ever that can be known to man. And my guest, Barrister James Essien, made a statement, I think on the first day I hosted him here, He said, what you don't know, you worship. What you don't know, you worship. How does that apply to what we are seeing? These politically exposed persons are able to continue doing what they are doing because of gullibility of citizens, because of fear, because of ignorance, because of illiteracy. Why? You find people who are victims of certain persons worshipping the same person or the same people because of ignorance. So, the bottom line, the kakistocracy or kakistocrats and the kleptocrats that Aline Dume said, is that founded? Yes, it is founded, because the kind of things you hear, the kind of monies that are stolen, the kind of budgets that are even these people have the guts to write and to go and tender in the National Assembly, or even to bring like MDAs, agencies, ministries and departments and agencies who are going to defend their budget. Sharon, you've heard how JAM used over 800 million naira to do what?
Fumigation, but they debunked it.
Are you the one that created the news? Did it come from me?
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I know that.
why is the Senate? Why is the National Assembly saying they will not approve budget for them? Is that the only one? Okay, how about the feeding? How much they used to feed themselves? Feeding, not under COVID. Feeding as a subhead. The same JAM was where we had, was it monkey or python that was swallowing millions of naira? So now, what are you talking about? They are not the only one. Far from it. Far from it. The reality is that if you see what goes on, if you know what goes on, and you are able to maintain your sanity, you are one of the most blessed human beings. And that is the consciousness, that's the level that some of us are operating, Sharon. What is going on shows that a number of persons who have found their way to public offices lack credibility. They are not trustworthy. But is that something new? No. Socrates has said so long ago, that there will come a time when thieves and robbers are able to gain power through democracy. Democracy will become worse than any other form of governance. I'm paraphrasing. And that's the reality. We found some persons who clearly in the community, even themselves, they know that they have their criminal records is something that will have been, they shouldn't even be alive and free. But they are the ones here and there. So what do you expect? It is a matter of, this is my opportunity. Why? Poverty awaits every Nigerian. So if you have opportunity to grab anything and everything, you do it. Even if it means killing. I have had people that I had respect for tell me, this country, this state is irredeemable. See how you can help yourself. Leave what you are doing, because you will never succeed. It didn't start today. In fact, when I started my magazine, one of the persons, very senior person I went to with a copy of my magazine, Open Forum, when he looked at it in 2010, he looked at me and said, "You are wasting your time. This country is irredeemable. Forget it. Go and find some other thing to do." And this was somebody who was in an office that was supposed to help put Nigeria together. I looked at him and I said to myself, this is part of my learning process. I walked away. He didn't even encourage me. He didn't even say, "Oh, don't worry, just keep doing it." Or, "Oh, take this and see how you can, whatever I can help you do." I put in millions into my magazine. But is it a waste? No. Have I changed? I'm a better, more determined than ever before. Why? The lack of credibility of certain persons in very high places must not discourage you, but what should it do? It should inspire you that if this kind of person has courage to come out and be doing what he or she is doing, why should you that we are doing to do good for the greatest majority. Emir Sanusi has his weaknesses, yes. He's even lucky to be alive till today because of some of the stories we read while some things transpired even during the Abacha time. But here he is. He's a fighter. I think he has enough money to even say, I don't want to be king. But maybe in spirit of service, let me just be there for my people. Makes him to be ready to fight at that level. We can't dismiss his words. My people have a saying. If you don't, you can take the message and leave the messenger. It's very, very important. And that should help us to checkmate ourselves, not just at national level. And I've said this, and I'm sure you know this. Have you been to the villa before, Sharon? I'm sure you've not. Let me say I'm sure. Have you entered villa before to see the president or getting close to the gate?
I might have.
No. I have not. The closest I went to was during the Atiku's time. I entered Atiku's official residence. And I didn't even know the geography in my head. You understand? And I was just part of a crowd that went to receive him during his battle with his president then. You know, he was down, he was hospitalized in the UK. When he came back, we went to the airport, received him, brought him back to his house, and then he stood at the balcony and spoke. And I got inspired. And it was from there that we left. I've never shaken hands with him. You understand? But what is the inspiration? The inspiration is that in Akwa Ibom State here, you can trek to the government house and even enter. Even if not for anything, just to say prayers, to pray for the person that is there, and you walk back. You can't do that in Abuja. So we should be concerned more with your small space in your local government. Some people, till they die, they may never get close to the villa, talk less of even entering the premises. Some may never even get to Abuja. Till my parents left, the highest my father went was Lagos. You know, he was still of power then. But did he come to see the then president or head of state? No. Visiting the son. Whereas there are people who are on the saddle, people who should be thinking or getting feedback from thinkers on policies they should do for the greatest good. It's not happening. Make an idea that will make society better. Nobody takes, because it will require accountability. It's a pity, but it's something that we must not shy away. You may be hungry, like some of us are starving, doing things that people that are eating, like our jam people that say they spend 1 point something billion on feeding and all of that, they can't deliver. So it's time for us to be interested in being part of governance, because governance is not about those in public office. Governance has to do with those in public office and citizens. Partisan politics is different.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We're still going to talk on this topic. Let's open the phone lines now. We have 24 minutes before we call it a wrap on the Melting Point on Memories 96.5 FM. If you'd like to join the discussion, then the phone lines are now open. 0803 085 7755 or 0809 066 6909. These are the phone numbers to reach us on. I'll call them again. 0803 085 7755 or 0809 066 6909. If you want to reach us via our WhatsApp platform, then the number is 0809 066 6909. And we're streaming live on Facebook. The handle is Memories965 FM. Do well to drop a comment there and we will be reading it out. All right, so back to the topic of discussion, citizen.
Yes.
Now, something that the Emir said was talking about past mismanagement, decades of mismanagement. What structural changes are necessary to prevent a recurrence of these economic challenges? That's one. And I'd like to know from your perspective, do you see the current administration now correcting these mistakes that the past administrations made?
Well, when we talk about decades of mismanagement, This should not shock you. If it shocks you, well, you have shock absorber. Whatever level of mismanagement there had ever been, Sharon, we have the worst level of mismanagement in the last couple of years. I read an article that Professor Bolaji Akiyemi wrote on corruption. And he said that the money stolen in Nigeria from, I think, 1960 to when he wrote that article, which must have been in the maybe earlier than 2010 or thereabout, maybe between 1999 or thereabout. He said you can line it up and you'll get to the moon and back. If you line up the Naira denomination, you will get to the moon and be back maybe a couple of times. Yes, that sounded like an exaggeration.
Yeah.
But it is not. Why? A man called Obuna Obla, he was made the secretary, I think executive secretary of a special unit to recover public properties. He granted interview, permit to mention, to Seun Akimbaloye on channels. I hope I'm not wrong. Akimbaloye. What did he say? He said that they got intel about somebody who has X number of very expensive vehicles and they are armored, about 80 pieces of them. And if you calculate the cost of that, it will be unbelievable. Even up to now, some people say maybe the man is not sound. Then they discovered an account that contained about 60-something billion dollars belonging to one person. And they decided to get approval to go after it. And his team was stopped by the same government he was working for. Do you know what $65 billion means? There is also a man called Honorable Kazaure. He is or was a member of the Federal House of Reps. He's not given to grammar. He does not speak. His power of oratory is not really there, as in somebody who schooled well or whatever. I'm not trying to demean him, but he is very vocal and he addresses issues. This man said a consultant had informed them that there is about 77 trillion that was lying down somewhere. And the matter was reported to President Buhari, and he set up a team where he was made, I think, secretary, and they traced the accounts and saw those monies there. Sharon, between 70-something and something trillion. And guess what? Some persons in the same government said no, it is not true. This thing, the investigation is discontinued. The tape is there. The man has been insisting, and he has named names. Those monies are there. Those monies were not something of decades ago. The corruption that is prevailing corruption is nothing to compare. I mean, the corruption in the past is absolutely nothing to compare with what has been playing out possibly between 1999 and now. So when people talk about decades, how many decades from 1999 till now? Even Obasanjo, with all his weaknesses, Obasanjo tried. He fought corruption. He established the critical agencies that are fighting corruption. And it was the battle to undo corruption that gave APC opportunity, because they used corruption and a statement made by Jonathan to fight Jonathan. Jonathan was asked on a TV station, and our corruption said, stealing is not corruption, something like that. And they said, you see? So they harped on it, that they were going to fight corruption, that the money stolen, when recovered, could be used to build this, build that. They listed it. I can never forget Lai Mohammed doing that. But what happened? Throughout their tenure, officially, at least from the last information and report that I got, they recovered just about $1 billion. And the main money, they said they have used it for some other thing. Was it $1 billion that derailed Nigeria's economy? Was the economy even derailed? No. Propaganda has been taken to the level that if you are not intelligent enough, you'll be swayed by propaganda. And that is why we initiated the war against Nigerian factor. It's not just for Nigeria, also for Akwa Ibom State, because propaganda and blackmail, impunity have become very well paying. So, anybody that tells you that the corruption from 1960 to 1999 destroyed Nigeria, that person does not have credibility. What has happened is that the corruption from 1999, or better still, let's even leave Obasanjo era out of it. Thereafter, how much was oil being sold? What was the level of crude oil theft? Very minute. But what do we have? Under even the last administration, NNPC had no money to remit because they said crude oil theft and overhead cost, and then what they even called first subsidy that was a scam became real and started running in trillions. So, who is fooling who? That's why we must fight ignorance by embarking on intensive citizenship education and enlightenment and simplifying it like the way we do here, where even a child would understand. No big grammar. In fact, maybe the station should think of doing analysis on critical issues in our local language. You understand me? And dialects. We have language, we have dialects. So if somebody wants to come here and speak in Ibibio, good. If he wants to come here and speak in Oro, very well. Wants to speak in Anang, very well. Or Obolo, you need to be able to communicate this thing. Let these people know. Because they are the ones that these people without credibility will go during elections and deceive them. And they will clap for them. Like here, say, the man has stolen your future, stolen your children's past, stolen their past, stolen the present and the future, with nothing to offer. But because he feels that money can buy everything. Intentional citizenship education and enlightenment, which we now translate generally and say it is intellectual revolution that we're embarking on, non-violent. That is what we need to do. Outside of that, if you know some of the things that some of us know, I'm telling you, some of these persons that are blowing siren, they will go off the siren and be sneaking. Because we are nothing but a side monkey. Yes, the worst part is in our part of the world, where somebody or some people could use the name of God to camouflage and deceive people, deceive themselves, which is the worst form of deceit, while carrying out real big-time havoc. It is time to save the country. We do not have reformers yet. What we need are reformers, not just people that are have access to power by any means. And some persons just say that leadership or power is not emotionally, I don't want to use a particular word, transmuted. But now, people, just because of emotional relationship, some persons who are not even supposed to be near where power is, they are leaving one office to the other because of emotional connections with people who feel that the world revolves within their hands. Your Bible says, like you own the world. And so anybody, because of your relationship, because of your fraternity, bring him and put there. After all, what do they do?
So you say that they are not correcting the mistakes.
we are worsening things. You know, what mistakes are anybody correcting? If you, okay, take for instance, when Mr. President came, one of the first things he did that gave me hope was the appointment of Jim Obaze, as the special investigator to probe CBN. Sharon, you are an AOP, and because of that, you must read widely. Have you read the report? Is it not the same thing that happened with NEDC, that we're celebrating that Buhari is going to reorganize and help Niger Delta to survive? And NEDC, people had to off the mic at National Assembly. Today, what has happened to that forensic audit? Nothing. What has happened to Jim Obaze's report? Nothing. We've not started. We have not started. And if you read the stories of some persons individually, you will know that we are under siege. Individually. Past records, criminal records, here and there, found dead. Have they changed? No. You look at them and you know that we are under siege. So what is the way forward? Citizens' engagement. Let's do it this way. That's why, like His Excellency has done by making commissioners to come and talk to not just media, talk to stakeholders. I won't stop saying this. It's one of the best ideas that should be replicated at all levels. And that is from Pastor Moino to Nigeria and maybe the world. But then, bring analysts to not just say NGOs. Some NGOs or civil society groups are out there to see what they can grab. Like one of them told me when I was doing hunger strike, and they were recommended, I wrote to them, they said, send your letter. They sent me a letter. Well, after speaking with their whoever, I sent my letter, and I had hope. I was added to their platform, and I now posted my picture of the hunger strike and a small write-up. One of them private chat me, and what did he tell me? He told me to take down the post, that they are not here to do serious advocacy. They want to endear themselves to governments. Shame on such people. I am careful, so I just ignored him. I waited for them to take down my post from their platform. I didn't see, and I didn't even see things there. Maybe I'm not even there again, I don't know. But to tell you that it's not enough that somebody says I'm an activist. Not enough that somebody says running an NGO. They are looking for where to be relevant, where to make money to eat.
All right. Thank you very much.
Those are not the kind of people that we're talking about.
Thank you very much, citizen. 5 minutes left. Let's hear from you. 0803 085 7755, 0803 085 7755, or 0809 066 6909, 0809 066 6909. That number also serves as our WhatsApp number. And then our Facebook, we are streaming live on Memories 965 FM. If you drop a comment there, a question for the analyst or a comment, we will be reading it out. All right, citizen, just to wrap things up, our third topic on the local government chairman. Is it too early to assess performance? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. We did not initiate first 100 days in office assessment period. In fact, first 100 days is even too long for me. It's too long because anybody that is going for public office should have been ready and waiting from day one. The first week, you will have made pronouncements to the effect that people can just know that this man is going to deliver. Within the first 3 months, definite projects will be seen. Which projects will continue to be commissioned within the first 6 months or 1 year, depending. But what do we have in the local government system, which I've said does not exist? Sharon, local government does not exist because there is no governance going on there. It's just a place for some persons to go and start training, settle their domestic servants, or train some persons who will be moved forward, and put some people who will be able to do elections and all of that. If local government is to be what it's supposed to be, there will be clear reforms, like in Akwa Ibom State.
Citizen, let me interrupt you for this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Festus.
Festus from where? All right, go on.
Yeah. Everything I've been listening since Citizen Clement studio this morning, and I've been listening, paying proper attention and everything he's saying. Well, it's saying exactly what I always say to people around me, that you see this governance of the day, it takes someone who really wants to get this work, to get this country working. Because everything he says, it's just exactly what is happening in Nigeria. And it's very shameful, it's painful that at this age and time, we're still experiencing these things that are making our country to be where it is. And so many countries are growing, so many African countries are growing faster. You can imagine. I heard the Cameroon currency is much, much higher than our Naira.
That's true.
What a shame. What a shame. And Cameroon of yesterday, look at Nigeria and Kenya of Africa. Well, it's a pity.
Thank you very much, Festus. Thank you. All right, Citizen.
Yes.
Please wrap up. We're almost out of time.
Well, to wrap up is that all we've said, thank you, the last caller. We cannot deny reality. I want to appeal to His Excellency. You know, the local government autonomy has taken off. And the Lagos State has harmonized whatever law is in the condition and passed by the National Assembly to be able to run the local government system based on local government autonomy. There is nothing that has been done differently in Akwa Ibom State to show that it is not going to be business as usual. All the institutions, Minister of Local Government and the Chieftaincy Affairs is still there. Local Government Service Commission is still there. If this local government autonomy is going to be run like it's been run, it's going to cause problem. We have generated some ideas which we have forwarded to His Excellency, and we are going to generate more ideas. Something should be done so that we don't get embarrassed. The local government system as presently run cannot make it, and it's going to be a very big embarrassment on who we are. We can do better than that. They are to partner with government, yes. We have suggested to create senatorial district development authorities where those local governments can, come together with the state government and embark on projects, because the laws are still interwoven. But each state must determine what they want. Bauchi State has scrapped Minister of Local Government. You don't need Minister of Local Government where you have local government autonomy. Whatever relationship you need to have can be placed under a particular office. Like we have said, the Cabinet, His Excellency, is to put up that please bring forward the Akpanekpo post-COVID economic reconstruction committee report and implement, which propose merger of ministries to cut costs. And we have also added that the deputy governor should be given a ministry to head. That will make her office very, very useful, and whatever grace that she had, because thank God for the capacity of the person there, it will cut costs. It will also help her to deliver more. A number of things should be done. We cannot continue like this and say we are making progress. No. For those that are clapping, even calling something revolution, they don't know what revolution is.
Thank you very much, Citizen Matthew Kofi Okono, for that. I was hoping we would be able to exhaust all the topics, and I think we did.
We try.
Thank you very much, Citizen. It's always impactful. It's always, very insightful when you're around.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for listening to The Melting Point on Memories 96.5 FM.